Today's Toolbox Talk is on an emergency response plan. Why does having an emergency response plan matter? Because for our particular industry, the plumbers, the restoration workers, and the excavators, they all face distinct risks, distinct challenges. Why this is important, because when you find yourself in an emergency, your immediate response counts. Your coordinated action. It reduces the opportunity for severe injuries and it prevents escalation to more serious injuries. The objective of today's Toolbox Talk are threefold. Know your emergency resources before you begin work. Then execute a standard communication and evacuation steps. And then thirdly, respond effectively to specific job site hazards. So know your emergency resources before you begin work. Where are they? Do you have a first aid kit? Is it complete? Have you used things out of it for a year and we haven't put anything back into it? This is the time to evaluate it before you need it. Second, your fire extinguisher. Do you have one? Do you know where it is? And can you get to it quickly? And third, your most important communication device, the cell phone. When you go to a job site, do you know where you can shut the water off inside? Do you know where you can shut the water off at the curb? When it's related to electricity, do you know how to shut it off at a GFCI? That might be closer than the electric panel itself. With the excavator, not only does the operator need to know how to turn it off in an emergency, so should the rest of the crew. As it relates to power tools with extension cords, do you know where and how to disconnect that quickly if the switch fails? Or battery-powered equipment, do you know how to disengage the battery from the tool quickly in the case of an emergency also? Do you know where to shut things down before you start them up? Communication is also important as it relates to emergencies and while you're going through it. Communicating correctly, clearly, is very important when there's an emergency. You won't be good at it if you don't practice it. When you're communicating with 911, it is important to understand what the address is. We are so programmed to know what the job number is that we overlook oftentimes the address. But having an emergency response plan means knowing what the address is when you're there. What is the nature of the emergency that you need to communicate to the 911 dispatcher? How many people are injured? What are those on-site hazards that you're reporting? Once everything is put back and it's in a safe working order, giving the command that it's all clear is equally important in communication. When you're thinking of your emergency plan for the job site, know where you're going to get out. If you're working in a basement, a living room, so that everybody can get to the same place near to the same time. Have an emergency assembly point. I do consulting for churches for security, and I've done some other businesses as well. And having an assembly point for an active shooter is really important because you want to make sure everybody gets out of the building. There are some people, consultants and companies that teach that you need to have an assembly point clearly marked with a sign. I don't agree with that, and certainly not on the same property for various reasons. If you pull up to that site and they're a bad actor, we'll say, they're going to look for that and they're going to know right where everybody's going to go. But making sure that your team knows where to go is important. Some specific response. This is not all encompassing by any means, to keep it short. But as we deal with a lot of water, we're using power tools. It's important to understand what would we do in a situation with one of our team members gets electrocuted. You don't want to touch them as long as they're connected to an energized source. Trying to locate where we can de-energize that source, turn it off, unplug it, is really important. Making sure that we're communicating clearly to 911 so we can get help to the job site as quick as possible, and then calling the safety department, letting us know so that we can assist you in that time of emergency. As it relates to fires, the old pass method is great training to reintroduce or remember in your mind. Finding that extinguisher, making sure you can get to it in the case of an emergency quickly is really important. Pulling it out, making sure that needle is straight up at 12 o'clock is important before you need it. But once you grasp it in your hand, you're pulling the pin, you're aiming at the base of the fire, you're squeezing the handle, and you're sweeping it from side to side. As it relates to chemical exposure, making sure we remove our teammate from that exposed area is really important while protecting ourselves at the same time. Calling safety so that we can assist. Referencing the safety data sheet that are electronically on some of your work phones and all of the tablets. You're looking for the safety icon that has a red background, a white shield, and a red check mark on it. That's where you'll find the safety data sheet material. It's important to think this through every day. Locating the shutoffs, making sure you've put your eyes and your hands on your first aid kit, locating the fire extinguisher. Make sure you know where the safety data sheet is on your phone or tablet. And practice. Practice, practice, practice. Practice makes perfect. For those of you that like to read, The Survivors Club by Ben Sherwood is a really fascinating book. I own it. I've read it a number of times. I've learned a lot through it. And having this kind of mindset wherever you go when looking at things is going to make you very resourceful should you have a bad day. So as a follow-up, I have some questions for you. Do you have a fire extinguisher? Is it charged? Can you get to it easy? What about your first aid kit? Is it full? Is it complete? Have you been taking things from it and not putting things back in? Do you look for the shutoffs in every customer's home or in their yard? Here's my phone number, 330-488-4141. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. Be safe out there.